everybody, welcome to the Comic Game and Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today, in honor of today's recent release on Friday, recent release of Hocus Pocus 2, which I'm gonna watch that and definitely review that, because if you don't know, I grew up, now, while I wasn't born when this film came out, if you were born in the 90s, I was born in like 1995, and if you were born in that time period, or the early 2000s, where my childhood was, we saw so many shows and movies from the 90s, and Hocus Pocus was one of those shows, one of those movies, especially if you grew up watching the Disney Channel. It was right alongside Halloween Town and a couple others, it was a couple of those shows, movies that were like in this group together, that were kind of scary when you were a child, and like there was a large group, like I said, there was a lot of them all together. These movies that were like these live action Disney movies that had influence on me personally, and like I grew up with Hocus Pocus, and for a fact, Hocus Pocus was pretty much like the first time I had seen witches. It was the first time I had heard the song, I Put a Spell on You. It was a lot going on. And I remember that movie creeping me the fuck out as a child. As a small child, Hocus Pocus creeped me the fuck out. Like, there are a couple other movies that creep me out, obviously. As some of you know, my aunt had me watching a shit ton of horror movies. But that wouldn't happen until like a little bit later. But like Hocus Pocus was a very creepy movie to me when I was a child. Now, on the rewatch, which I did, I realized, okay, yeah, it's not very creepy at all. Though it is though it does have an undertone that's actually pretty hardcore. Like, there is a darkness, it's silly and over the top, obviously, slapstick and visual gags, galore, but there is some fun to be had here. There is some, no, not fun to be had as in fun, there is some darker moments in the movie, actually. Like, let's not forget, the movie starts off with them murdering 2 children. Now, granted, the one they didn't murder, but they essentially murdered him because, they trapped him in a body of a cat for 3,000 years. And it's insinuated that some of their ingredients are from people they murdered. They are real fun and laughing in the face of being hanged to death. So there are some dark shit in this movie. I sit here and think about this movie. I was like, if someone with a darker mind wanted to make this like a horror movie, though technically it is considered a fantasy horror movie, so it could be considered a horror classic. But I'm just gonna call it a classic. I'm gonna just say classic. But to me, rewatching this movie, I posted up earlier today, I've had a hard time rewatching things. Even things that I think are fantastic. Because, I know what happens, and I have this tendency, even if there are details I've forgotten, once I start gearing up to watch the movie, all those details start flashing back into my brain, and then I'm like, well, I feel like I just remembered the entirety of the movie. Why do I want to fucking do this? And I'm like, okay, fine, I guess I'll just watch it. And then I end up watching the movie, and then about halfway through, and then about partially through almost halfway through the first act, I'm back in, and I'm like, okay, I'm cool, I can roll with this movie. I know I've seen it before, but I'm in, I want to watch it to the end. I'm in it. And the same thing happened with this movie. I started off and I was like, I don't know about this. This is goofy. It's really over the top. This is really for children. And maybe I should have left this be. But the more I started watching it, the more I did have fun with this film. It is not a serious film. It is goofy as fuck, and the Sanderson sisters, the witches, the villains of the movie, they are funny. They are the female equivalent to the Three Stooges, in my opinion. And maybe some people might think that's going too far, because, you know, in comedy worlds, you know, like, it's funny to think now, but the Three Stooges were a huge thing. The physical comedy, that was a huge thing. And they pushed that to another level. But the Sanderson sisters, they have visual gags. They have physical gags. And the most important thing is, all three of these women are having a blast playing off of each other. You can feel it, you know? You can feel the chemistry, you can feel the banter between the three. And they make the movie, really. Like, sure, there's like the main protagonist, Max, and his sister and stuff, who they have their own things, who are doing something. There's the cat and whatnot. But the Sanderson sisters are the stars of the show. They are the stars of the movie. They are the most entertaining parts of it. When they're on screen, you might not love what when they're on screen, you are just curious of what the fuck they're gonna do and what the fuck they're gonna say. And they're all so distinctly different. But like the Three Stooges, they are different levels of stupid. Because like the Three Stooges, if you guys I don't know. I'm talking like who's on YouTube who, you know, knows distinct details about the Three Stooges. But if you've ever watched it, you know that, you know, I always forget all their names. All I know is Curly's the stupid, the bald one, because it's ironic. I know Curly's the bald one, but Curly is the dumbest one. He's the one who doesn't get anything. While as what's his face? I always forget the one with the fucking the black hair, the fucking bob haircut. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Is it Mo? Ah man, I always forget the names. But one of them, the one with the black hair, he is the one with the plan. He's the one with the plan. He's the one who's always angling things. He himself is stupid, but he's like normal person stupid. You know, like, he's like normal person stupid, while the rest of them are like stupid. And that's how the sisters work. With the head sister, with the red-headed head sister being the one with the plan, she's the one with the book, she's the one who really makes the spells, and the other sisters just kind of help out and do something here, do their own thing here and there, but the other sisters are distinct. The youngest sister is the prettiest sister, and she's all into boys, and the other sister is kind of klutzy and just like, you know, just kind of bubbly, and she's actually sort of kind of like not as mean as the other, not as mean. And like this, together they have this interesting ass chemistry that I will tell you right now, it's worth watching just to watch those three. And they take up so much screen time that it's worth watching for that. But the actual story is about this young kid named Max moved from LA to a small town, and we've seen this story before. I've seen this story a million times in different things. Young kid from a big city moves to a small little town that's kind of like completely the opposite lifestyle of where he was. Like, there's of where he was, having a hard time fitting in, having a hard time getting going on and getting along. It's partially due to the fact that it's partially due to this sudden shift, and also partially due to his lack of acceptance of the new environment that he's in, and him pushing against this. And then it's causing friction. It's giving him a hard time, making things hard on himself and his sister. You know, the beats. But then the night takes a turn where things kind of start to go well for him. Things start to go kind of well for Max. He meets the girl that he was into in the beginning of the movie. They go to the Sanderson sisters, house, which is like, they have this legend because the film takes place in Salem, and home of the Salem witch trials. And they have this legend about the Sanderson sisters, these witches, these real witches that they caught. They hung them, and like, they kept their cabin and made it into a tourist destination. And it's like, everyone doesn't believe that. Most people don't believe that it's real, or at least people have respect for the story, so they don't go doing dumb shit. So of course the kid, the outsider who doesn't believe in any of this hocus pocus, goes and lights one of the sacred candle, and the witches come back to life 300 years later, but they come back to life. And from that point on, that, the story is about them trying to keep the book away from the witches so that they don't have the spells to kill every kid in the town. And I remember being a kid, and I remember watching, and as soon as I was watching this movie, I was like, I remember why this movie scared me. When I was a child, when I was a small child, it's because they targeted children. And like, when you're a child, especially when you're actually a child, the concept of someone targeting you simply because you're a child, it doesn't compute. It's scary shit. It's the reason why Freddy, and shit, there's another one. I know I'm missing it. Freddy, and I'm missing it. I know I'm missing it, and it will come back to me eventually as soon as I'm done recording this video. But it's the reason those movies always scared me when I was a child. Because they're coming after me as a little child. And these evil witches are coming after me. In fact, they could cast a spell on the whole fucking town, and I wouldn't even know I'm being killed. And it's like, you know, and the thing about it is, too, something, you know, I hate to say clever the movie did, but something clever the movie did up top was have them kill 2 children to really set it to be like, oh no, they will fucking kill children. They did it right up top to let you know. You know, like, no, they will fucking kill you. And like I said, that was pretty clever. And they did give the main protagonist a little mini arc, I suppose, because he does start off the movie a little puss, and by the end of the movie, he's brave enough to sacrifice himself for his own sister. So there is a nice little arc of him going from kind of from zero to hero. But the love story with him was weak. The story itself did, like, watching it did feel like it was floundering in terms of like them trying to come, in terms of the sisters' powers. And I hate to get in the weeds about this because this is, of course, an older movie. It was a movie made for kids, and you know, I don't really take it that, you know. So there are certain things there's a certain amount of slack that I'm cutting this movie, but admittedly, their powers are so all over the place because one minute they can hypnotize an entire town. At 2 points in this movie, they hypnotized every adult in the town into dancing forever. Well, they don't dance forever, but they would have danced until they died had the sisters not died in the end. And they hypnotized the entire town's children into going into a spot where they can drain them all. So it's like, yo, they have that kind of power to hijack an entire town. So it's like, so how are y'all having such a hard time just catching some kids on foot running away from you? Hell, how did you guys have such a hard time stopping yourselves from getting killed 300 years ago to begin with? So like, those are things that are hard to get past. So I'm just like, dude, you gotta make up your mind. How powerful are you? You can summon the dead. How many dead people can you summon? Or can you just summon this one dude because you guys had a pact with him so you could summon him? Like, their power set fluctuates. And how powerful they are fluctuates depending on what the gag is or what they need for the plot. And admittedly, it's crazy that I noticed that, but you know, it was something that I did notice. But overall, Hocus Pocus, 1993's Hocus Pocus, is still a fun movie. It's a fun, just sit down with your kids, fun movie. If you have kids, if you're like me and you just remember that movie from your childhood and looked on it fondly, I think you'll still look on it fondly. It's not one of those times where you go back and look at this movie and it'll ruin what you once thought of as this great movie. No, it's so hammy, it's so fun, but everything about the movie is fun. Everybody is having fun, and the 3 sisters, even though they can be over the top and hammy as fuck, they still work because these actresses are giving their all. They're having a blast together. The chemistry between them, it just shines off the screen. I give Hocus Pocus. Okay, biasly, I give it a 7 out of 10. It's a fun watch. It's an hour and 36 minutes. You're not gonna be bored watching it. You're gonna have fun. Is it stupid as fuck? Yes, it's stupid as fuck. But it's fun, stupid. Anyways, thank you guys for joining the Comic Game Movie Show. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.